Chosen ones, before you even allow your mind to wander, let this be your warning, your calling, and your awakening all at once. What you are about to hear is not an ordinary message, and
It is not a collection of hopeful words. It is a turning point disguised as a narration, a doorway wrapped in sentences, a shift that only reveals itself to the souls who are ready to rise. And if your path membawa yukisini, then understand this. Destiny has begun to lean in your direction. There are moments in life when the universe whispers softly, and there are rare moments when it speaks with force, moving through your chest, pressing your breath, and making your heart feel heavier and lighter at the same time. This is one of those moments. Chosen ones, listen carefully, because if you skip even a single breath of this message, you may lose the very key meant to open the door you have been begging for. This is not a video you casually play while doing something else. This is not something you save for later. If you dare to leave this message halfway, if you dare to shut it down before it finishes speaking to your spirit, regret will chase you like a shadow you cannot outrun. The universe does not repeat itself for those who walk away. You have felt the pull lately, a strange heaviness that is not sadness, a quiet anticipation that is not anxiety, a magnetic force that you cannot explain but also cannot ignore. That is the signal. That is the mark of a soul chosen for a transition, one that reshapes your destiny, your relationship with abundance, your understanding of struggle, and your belief in what is possible. You have been moving through an invisible preparation. Every hardship, every financial burden, every moment of fear about how you would survive. None of it was random. It was a refining fire, a sculpting process, a training ground for a magnitude of blessings your old self was not ready to hold. And now, something is shifting. Something is loosening around your life. Something is preparing to break open. Chosen ones, you must stay. Do not leave. Do not look away. Because if you do, you will miss the moment the universe hands over the very clarity you have been searching for all these years. This message carries the vibration of release, of debt dissolving, of doors unlocking, of wealth flowing in ways you never dared to imagine. If you think you stumbled onto this by coincidence, understand this truth. Coincidence is the language used by destiny when it does not want to reveal itself too early. This message has been waiting for you long before you pressed play. But before we go deeper, before the revelation unfolds, you must do something crucial, something that signals to the universe that your spirit is awake, your heart is open, and your readiness is real. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Activate the notification bell. And comment the word 77 to send a powerful signal to the universe that you are ready to receive this message fully. This is not a ritual of superstition. It is a declaration of alignment. It is the moment you step forward and say, I accept the shift that is coming. Chosen ones, this introduction is not merely an opening. It is a threshold you must not walk away from. A threshold that, once crossed, begins the unraveling of everything that has held you down and the awakening of everything that is meant to lift you higher. Do not blink. Do not pause. Do not let distraction steal what is meant for your future. Stay until the very last word, because the universe has woven something inside this message that will not return once you leave. And if you walk away, if you let fear or doubt interrupt you, you may never receive this moment again in the same form or with the same force. Chosen ones, this is your summons. Now step forward and do not look back. Section 1. The moment your spirit began to shift. Chosen ones. There comes a point in every journey where life feels strangely heavy, yet unbearably quiet, as if something enormous is standing just beyond the edge of your awareness. You feel it before you understand it. You sense it before you can name it. And in the stillness of your own thoughts, you have begun to realize that the weight you are carrying is no longer the same weight that once held you down. It is a sign, a signal, a vibration announcing that your spirit is nearing the turning of a destiny that has silently prepared itself for you. For a very long time, You have survived on strength that nobody witnessed. You have carried burdens no one helped you lift. You have wiped away tears that never reached the surface, because your heart learned to break in silence, to endure without applause, and to persist when every path seemed to narrow around you. Yet through all of that, through the debt, the pressure, the exhaustion, and the worry, you remained standing. Even when you were trembling, you stood. Even when you were unsure, you moved. That resilience was not accidental, it was preparation. The universe does not choose souls at random. It chooses the ones who have walked through fire without losing their ability to hope. It chooses the ones who have tasted emptiness, yet still believe in fullness. It chooses the ones who have been overlooked, underestimated, and ignored, because only those hearts understand the true value of abundance when it arrives. And you, chosen one, have been prepared in ways you did not know you were being prepared. You might think your struggles were punishments, but they were rehearsals. You might think your setbacks were failures, but they were alignments. You might think the waiting was wasted time, but it was the unfolding of a much larger plan. Every moment when money was tight, when bills felt impossible, when responsibilities crushed your chest, when sleep became a luxury and clarity became blurry, those were not signs of abandonment. Those were the final chapters of your old destiny closing themselves so your new path could begin to write itself. You have felt the shift recently, even if you didn't say it out loud. A strange calm wrapped inside a storm, a quiet belief growing underneath your fear, a whisper of certainty that you cannot logically explain. That is the universe signaling you. But chosen ones understand this truth deeply. Destiny never arrives without first making the soul uncomfortable. Transformation never begins without shaking the foundations of what you once accepted as normal. And abundance never enters a life that still identifies itself with scarcity. Your spirit has outgrown your old reality. And because of that, your old reality has begun to crack. You may have noticed people pulling away unexpectedly, opportunities shifting direction, situations that once made sense now falling apart. Do not mourn these losses. They are not losses. They are releases, necessary releases, because nothing new can enter a space still occupied by outdated energies. The weight you feel is not the weight of defeat. It is the weight of transition. A life-changing moment is forming around you. You cannot see it yet, but your spirit already senses it. That is why you feel restless. That is why you feel reflective. That is why certain situations no longer fit. Your soul is adjusting itself to a future that carries more abundance than your past ever held. And though you may still be carrying debt, worry, or fear, understand this. Those chains are loosening. Those burdens are thinning. Those limitations are approaching their final breath. The universe has begun rearranging the pieces of your life with a precision you cannot imagine. Paths you thought were blocked are quietly being carved open. Help you did not expect is beginning to move in your direction. Wealth that once seemed distant is aligning with the energy you have been forced to build through your suffering. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Your spirit would not feel this shift if nothing significant were coming. Your heart would not feel this pull if abundance were not preparing itself. Your intuition would not be stirring if destiny were not already on its way. You are not imagining it. Something is coming. Something long withheld, long delayed, long awaited. Something powerful enough to rewrite your financial story and restore the parts of you that hardship tried to steal. This is the beginning of that moment. The quiet before the breakthrough. The breath before the release. The tremor before the rise. Stay with this message. Stay with this truth. Your life is not collapsing. It is shifting into alignment with everything you were meant to receive. Section 2. Why your struggles were necessary for the destiny you are about to receive. Chosen ones. There is a truth many people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. Before any destiny expands, the soul must first be emptied. Not because the universe wishes to punish you, but because abundance cannot flow into a vessel already overflowing with fear, scarcity, and the residue of old experiences. And you, whether you realized it or not, have spent these past seasons being emptied, carved, reshaped, and refined by pressures that felt unbearable at times. You wondered why life demanded so much strength from you, why you had to endure burdens that others never seemed to face, why financial struggles clung to you long after you believed you had done enough to break free, why debts, responsibilities, and unexpected crises kept showing up, tightening around your spirit like a rope that would not loosen. Those moments were not evidence of abandonment. They were the curriculum of elevation. Chosen ones, not every soul is trained for abundance. Not every heart is prepared to carry prosperity with humility, with wisdom, with clarity. Many people receive small blessings and crumble under the weight of them, losing themselves to greed, arrogance, distraction, or impulsive choices. But you were shaped differently. You were not chosen because life was easy for you. You were chosen because even when life was heavy, you stayed rooted in perseverance. The universe watched you choose honesty when shortcuts tempted you. It watched you remain compassionate even while carrying invisible burdens. It watched you stand on trembling legs and still whisper hope into a future that kept slipping away from you. This is why your path has been harder. Not because you are cursed, but because you are being prepared to hold more than the average person ever will. Your struggles did not weaken you. They stretched your capacity. They expanded your endurance. They sharpened your discernment. And most importantly, they created an inner stability that abundance requires. Every night you lay awake worrying about how to pay bills. You were actually being trained to manage wealth responsibly. Every time you calculated expenses to the smallest detail, you were developing financial awareness that will protect your future abundance. Every moment you swallowed your fear and kept moving, you were building the emotional maturity necessary to sustain prosperity once it arrives. These experiences were not meant to break you. They were meant to shape the version of you who could finally receive what has always belonged to you. There is a level of blessing coming into your life that requires emotional discipline, patience, humility, and clarity. If you had received this level of abundance in a previous stage, when you were still insecure, still reactive, still unsure of your direction, it would have slipped through your fingers. The timing was not wrong. You simply were not ready yet. Chosen ones, you have grown in ways you did not notice. You have become stronger than you give yourself credit for. You have become wiser than the people who once underestimated you. You have developed restraint, courage, and vision through circumstances that would have made others collapse. The universe does not give the heaviest battles to the weakest spirits. It gives them to the ones being shaped for missions far bigger than their current environment. Your financial hardships were not punishments, they were assignments. Assignments that taught you how to survive without losing your integrity. Assignments that taught you how to value every gain, no matter how small. Assignments that taught you how to dream of more while living with less. You were not delayed. You were being calibrated. Chosen ones, hear this clearly. Your suffering was not meaningless. Your debt was not a sign of failure. Your setbacks were not barriers. They were preparation stages, spiritual, emotional, and mental foundations required for the shift that is coming. And now, after all this time, after all this endurance, the universe has determined that you are ready. Ready to receive without fear. Ready to manage without losing yourself. Ready to rise without forgetting who you are. This is why everything you have been through matters. It has refined you into someone who can hold abundance with depth, with gratitude, and with strength. You were not being broken. You were being shaped into the version of yourself who could finally say, I am ready. Your past was not a barrier. It was the doorway. Section 3. When the old dimension begins to release its hold on you, chosen ones. There is a moment in every spiritual transformation when the world you once belonged to no longer feels like home. You wake up and realize that the routines you used to endure now feel heavier. The people you once clung to now feel distant, and the places that once felt familiar now feel strangely too small for the person you are becoming.
This is not confusion. This is not instability. This is the beginning of release, the slow unraveling of an old dimension that cannot travel with you into the life you are being prepared for. You may have noticed subtle shifts lately. A conversation that suddenly felt different. A connection that quietly faded without conflict. A job, an environment, or a pattern that once felt tolerable now feels suffocating. These are not coincidences. They are signs that the universe has begun peeling away the layers of your past so your future can breathe. Before destiny expands outward, it must first expand inward. And expansion always requires space. But space cannot exist while you are still holding on to the weight of old energies. Energies of fear, of scarcity, of obligation, of guilt, of relationships that drain rather than nourish, of patterns that repeat pain instead of growth. Chosen ones, something profound is happening to you, even if you can't fully explain it. Your spirit has started rejecting what no longer aligns with who you are becoming.
This rejection shows up as discomfort, sudden restlessness, a strange sensation that you are done with certain cycles even though nothing dramatic has happened. Your soul is whispering, you cannot stay here anymore.
And the universe is listening. When the old dimension begins to release you, life may briefly feel chaotic. Unexpected shifts occur. People who were once close begin to drift. Opportunities that once seemed promising suddenly fall apart. You may even feel like you are losing more than you are gaining. But chosen ones, hear this truth with every part of your being. What is leaving your life now is not part of your future. It is part of the weight that would have drowned you before your breakthrough. The universe is not taking from you. It is clearing the debris so abundance can find a way in. You cannot carry old fears into new blessings. You cannot carry old habits into new levels. You cannot carry old versions of yourself into a future built for your expansion. The discomfort you feel is not punishment. It is renovation. Just as a room must be emptied before it is redesigned, your life must undergo a clearing before the next chapter can unfold. And chosen ones, you are now in that sacred clearing. This is why certain relationships feel misaligned. This is why your tolerance for negativity is shrinking. This is why you're beginning to question everything that once felt unchangeable. Your spirit is aligning itself with the frequency of abundance, and anything that does not match that frequency is naturally falling away. It might feel lonely at times. It might feel confusing. It might feel like you are being stripped of everything familiar. But understand this deeply. You are not losing anything essential. You are releasing the remnants of a life you have already outgrown. What feels like loss today will soon be understood as liberation. The universe is preparing you for a future that requires clarity, emotional space, and spiritual freedom.
And so it removes anything that clutters your path, even if you are not consciously ready to let it go. This is why sudden endings happen, why unexpected closures occur, why people exit your journey without explanation. Their chapter in your story has served its purpose. Chosen ones, you must trust the release. You must trust the unraveling. You must trust the spaces being created even if they feel empty. Because into that space, into that silence, into that clearing, will flow the very abundance you have been praying for. Debt that once felt unending will dissolve in ways that defy logic. Opportunities you never saw coming will emerge from directions you never considered. Financial relief will arrive not because you chased it, but because the universe finally has room to deliver it to you. And when that moment arrives, when the clearing finally gives way to the rebuilding, you will look back at this season with awe. You will understand why certain doors closed, why certain people left, why certain situations had to fall apart. You will realize that every loss was actually a hidden blessing, and every ending was a disguised beginning. Chosen ones, your old dimension is not collapsing.
It is simply stepping aside, so your new destiny can finally enter. Section 4. The unexpected moment that rewrites your entire story. Chosen ones. There comes a moment in every destined life when the shift you have prayed for
begged for, cried for, and silently endured for, begins to break through. Not with thunder, not with spectacle, but with a quiet, disarming subtlety that almost makes you doubt your own eyes. The universe rarely announces the beginning of a miracle with noise. Instead, it arrives softly, like a whisper brushing past your spirit, leaving you breathless and unsure whether what you just witnessed was real. That is how your breakthrough will begin. Not with chaos, not with fanfare, but with a small spark, so gentle, so unassuming, that you might overlook it if your spirit weren't already attuned to the tremors of destiny. Chosen ones, the moment that rewrites your story does not always arrive dressed as opportunity. Sometimes it comes disguised as an unexpected message, a brief conversation, a second glance, a renewed connection, or even a simple notification that appears when you least expect it. The universe knows how to place the right seed at the exact moment your spirit is ready to receive it. Your financial burdens, the debts that have carried the weight of your fear, the obligations that tightened around your chest, these do not dissolve through force, they dissolve through alignment. And alignment arrives suddenly, like a door that swings open without warning after remaining locked for so long you almost forgot it existed. Then, one moment changes everything. Perhaps it is a confirmation you did not anticipate. Perhaps an opportunity that once ignored you suddenly seeks you out. Perhaps someone decides to clear a burden you thought you would carry alone. Perhaps a delayed payment suddenly processes. Perhaps a path that was blocked becomes open in a way you cannot rationally explain. It will not matter how it happens. What will matter is how instantly your heart recognizes, this is the moment I have been waiting for. Your breath will catch. Your body will still. Your mind will struggle to understand it because it arrives without warning. A sudden shift in your reality that feels almost too generous to be real. But chosen ones, the universe does not operate on the timeline of your fears. It operates on the timeline of your readiness. And now, you are ready. You are ready to receive without apology. Ready to embrace a breakthrough without resisting it. Ready to accept abundance without shrinking yourself. Ready to let go of the belief that blessings must always come through suffering. For so long, you have been conditioned to expect disappointment, to brace yourself for the worst, to assume that nothing good lasts long, to believe that financial despair is something you must learn to live with instead of something that can be washed away. And that conditioning has tightened around your spirit like old rope. But the universe is cutting those ropes now. The moment your breakthrough arrives will feel like stepping into a new dimension where everything heavy is suddenly lighter and everything complicated becomes clear. You will realize how quickly life can transform when the universe decides now is the time. Old debts will vanish with a speed that defies reason. Flows of money will enter your life without your effort guiding them. Financial relief will appear like a light pouring into a room that has been dark for far too long. And here is what will surprise you the most. It will feel natural. For a moment, you may expect the weight to return. Your mind may search for the familiar heaviness. Your body may wait for the next crisis because it has been trained by years of difficulty. But it will not come. There will only be clarity, quiet, and a sense of release so powerful it brings tears to your eyes. Not because you are sad, but because your spirit finally recognizes freedom. Chosen ones, this moment, the moment destiny turns in your favor, will not come because you forced it. It will come because you endured long enough, learned enough, transformed enough, and trusted enough to become a match for the abundance that has always been meant for you. You will look at your life and realize, this is the chapter where everything changes. The heaviness will fall away. The tension will dissolve. The fear will loosen its grip. And the abundance that once felt distant will begin flowing toward you as if it had been waiting just beyond the edge of your patience. Your story will not shift gradually. It will shift suddenly. And when it does, you will understand why every delay, every struggle, every tear, every moment of quiet suffering was necessary. Because only a soul that has walked through darkness
can fully embrace the brilliance of a destiny finally illuminated. Chosen ones, prepare yourself. The moment that rewrites your life is approaching with quiet, unstoppable certainty. And when it arrives, you will recognize it instantly, not with your mind, but with the deepest part of your spirit.
Section 5. Why the blessing comes without you chasing it. Chosen ones. There is a profound truth hidden within the rhythm of the universe. A truth that many spend their entire lives overlooking. Not everything meant for you must be pursued.
Some blessings are not earned through force, struggle, or endless striving. Some blessings arrive the moment you stop running, stop panicking, stop gripping life with trembling fists, and simply allow the universe to deliver what has already been written with your name on it. And the abundance coming your way, this wave of financial relief, this clearing of debts, this unexpected release, is one of those blessings. For years, you have been taught that everything must be chased. Success must be hunted. Money must be pursued. Opportunity must be seized with aggression. You are conditioned to believe that rest equals failure and slowing down equals falling behind. But chosen ones, destiny does not obey the rules of fear. Destiny obeys alignment. When you are aligned, what is yours finds you, without struggle, without force, without desperation. And right now, even if you do not realize it, your spirit has finally reached that place of alignment. Not because life became easier, but because you became different. You shifted, softened, grew, awakened. You stopped giving your energy to things that drained you. You stopped running toward people who did not meet you halfway. You stopped accepting the narrative that your worth must be proven through exhaustion. This shift within you created a vacuum, a sacred opening, where abundance could finally enter. This is why the blessing coming your way will arrive without you chasing it. It will arrive naturally, effortlessly, and in ways that feel almost surreal. You may find yourself receiving news you never expected. Resources that once felt blocked suddenly flowing. People offering help you didn't ask for. Opportunities resurfacing with better timing. Paths that were once closed unfolding in perfect sequence. Chosen ones, understand this deeply. You do not have to force what is already destined. You do not have to suffer for what has been written to bless you. You do not have to beg for what is meant to elevate you. For so long you have carried the belief that you must always be doing more, trying harder, pushing further. Yet the universe often performs its greatest miracles when you are still, when your hands are open, not clenched, when your heart is willing, not weary, when your spirit is ready, not desperate. Your readiness is the reason abundance is coming toward you, not away from you. This is the shift. Before now, your energy was scattered. Fear pulled you in one direction. Scarcity pulled you in another. Doubt pulled you everywhere. But recently, perhaps without you noticing, you began to reclaim yourself. Piece by piece, step by step, moment by moment. Your inner world became quieter. Your expectations softened. Your heart began whispering, "There must be more for me than this." That whisper was the turning point, because the universe responds not to panic, but to belief, not to fear, but to openness, not to desperation, but to surrender. Your surrender did not mean giving up. It meant trusting. It meant releasing the illusion of control. It meant knowing that destiny does not require your force, only your alignment. This is why the blessings coming your way do not need to be chased. They are coming because your frequency matches them now. You have learned enough, endured enough, transformed enough, proven enough. You have finally become the version of yourself who can hold abundance without losing your soul. And so, for the first time in a very long time, money will come without draining you. Support will come without conditions. Opportunities will come without confusion. Breakthroughs will come without chaos. Your debt will not be erased because you chased financial rescue. It will be erased because the universe has decided your suffering has reached its limit. Your abundance will not appear because you begged for it. It will appear because you grew into someone who deserves it, and someone who can sustain it. Chosen ones, hear this with the fullness of your heart. What is coming toward you is coming because it has no other choice. It belongs to you. It has always belonged to you. It was simply waiting for the version of you who could receive it without fear, without guilt, and without shrinking. This is the season where you no longer chase. This is the season where you attract. This is the season where what was once delayed begins to unfold effortlessly before your eyes. And when it happens, when abundance flows to you without resistance, you will finally understand why the universe made you wait. It was never a denial. It was preparation for the moment you were ready to receive what is yours without losing who you are. Section 6. When your debts dissolve and your spirit finally remembers its freedom. Chosen ones. There is a moment in every soul's
Journey when the weight you have carried for so long begins to loosen, so subtly at first that you almost doubt your own senses. It feels like the tightening in your chest begins to soften, like the constant pressure behind your thoughts begins to lift, like the future you once feared is somehow leaning toward you instead of pulling away.
This moment is not random. It is the arrival of the release you have silently waited for through countless nights of exhaustion, worry, and quiet endurance. For years, debt has not only burdened your finances, it has burdened your mind. It has woven itself into your decisions, your emotions, your confidence, and even your sleep. Debt is not just numbers. It is psychological weight. It whispers fear into your dreams. It shadows your every step. It colors your sense of worthiness. But chosen ones, hear this with every part of your being. You are approaching the moment when this weight finally breaks. Not gradually, not partially, but completely. And when it happens, the shift within you will be so profound that it will feel as though you have stepped out of a cage you lived in for so long you forgot there were doors at all. The first thing you will notice is clarity. A clarity you haven't felt in years. Clarity in your thinking, your breathing, your choices, your sense of direction. When debt dissolves, the mind becomes quiet. Because the mind is no longer fighting for survival. Your strength returns. Your creativity returns. Your confidence returns. But more importantly, your sense of possibility returns. Debt drains the imagination. Freedom ignites it. Suddenly, everything you once wanted to do, but could not even consider, becomes visible again. Ideas you buried begin resurfacing. Dreams you abandoned begin calling your name. Energy you thought you lost begins flowing through you like a new current. This is not coincidence. This is liberation. When the universe clears your burdens, it is not merely fixing your financial situation. It is returning your life to you, piece by piece, breath by breath. Hope by hope, you will notice yourself thinking differently. Not how do I survive, but what can I create? Not how do I escape this pressure, but how do I build something lasting? Not how do I make it through this month, but how do I expand into the future that belongs to me? That is the psychological rebirth that happens the moment your debts disappear. And chosen ones, something even deeper takes place. Your self-perception transforms. You will look at yourself and no longer see someone who struggles. You will see someone who overcame, someone who endured what would have broken others, someone who rose despite everything pressing against them, someone who did not crumble under weight but strengthened beneath it. This internal shift matters more than the financial one, because it becomes the foundation of every blessing that follows. When your mind is no longer consumed by fear, you begin to make decisions from wisdom instead of panic. When your heart is no longer exhausted, you begin to attract opportunities instead of repelling them. When your spirit is no longer wounded, you begin to receive abundance with openness instead of distrust. This is why the release of your debt is not the end of your transformation. It is the beginning. Because once that weight is gone, your life does not merely stabilize. It begins to expand. Opportunities appear not because you chase them, but because your energy finally matches the frequency of abundance.
People treat you differently because you treat yourself differently. Doors open not because of luck, but because the universe recognizes your readiness. Money flows not because you fight for it, but because your spirit is no longer blocking it with fear. Freedom changes everything. You will move differently, think differently, carry yourself differently, make decisions differently. And as your inner world shifts, your outer world begins to mirror that change with stunning speed. You will find yourself entering a reality where survival is no longer your story. Stability becomes your baseline. Growth becomes your natural state. Elevation becomes your expectation. The moment your debt dissolves, something even greater awakens in you. The realization that you were never meant to live under the shadow of financial fear. Your soul was built for expansion, for prosperity, for impact, for freedom. And now, chosen ones, you are stepping into the chapter where that truth finally becomes visible. This is the stage where abundance stops being a hope and begins becoming your new normal. Section 7. The beginning of wealth, not the end of your journey. Chosen ones. There is a sacred moment in every divine transformation when the universe no longer speaks in whispers, but in undeniable shifts. Shifts that reshape your reality, reorder your future, and reveal a truth your spirit has been preparing for. The blessing arriving to you is not a temporary rescue. It is the beginning of a new identity, a new chapter, a new relationship with abundance itself. When your debts vanish, when financial pressure dissolves, when money arrives in amounts that surpass your expectations, you may be tempted to believe that this is the peak of your blessing. But chosen ones, hear this clearly. This is not the peak. This is the doorway. For so long you believed that financial freedom would be the final destination, the place where struggle ends, where you finally breathe, where you finally rest. But the universe did not prepare you only to survive. It prepared you to rise. The clearing of your debts is not the miracle, it is the signal that the true miracle is just beginning. When the weight of financial worry lifts, your spirit expands into a space it has not touched in years. A space where creativity can breathe. A space where purpose becomes visible. A space where confidence roots itself deeply. A space where you no longer live in reaction, but in intention. This space is fertile ground. Ground where wealth begins to grow not from desperation, but from clarity. Ground where opportunities come not from struggle, but from alignment. Ground where the abundance meant for you finally has room to flourish. Chosen ones, you must understand something profound. The universe would not remove your burdens if you were meant to return to the life that created them. The shift happening now is permanent. Your elevation is irreversible. Your transformation is not symbolic, it is literal. It is energetic. It is foundational. This is why you may feel a strange sense of lightness, as though you are walking into a future that has already been prepared. This is why ideas feel sharper, decisions feel clearer, and your intuition feels louder. This is why fear feels weaker and hope feels stronger. Your spirit is learning a new truth. Abundance is not something you chase, it is something you embody. Wealth is not just money. It is the expansion of your inner world. It is the return of your self-worth. It is the rebuilding of your identity after years of carrying weights that were never yours to hold. It is the awakening of the version of you who was buried beneath the responsibilities, obligations, fear, and survival. And now, chosen ones, that version of you is rising. You may notice that people will begin treating you differently. Not because your circumstances shift first, but because your energy shifts. You will no longer walk like someone waiting for life to happen to you. You will walk like someone who knows life is responding to you. Your decisions will no longer be made from fear, but from vision. Your boundaries will strengthen. Your voice will deepen. Your posture will change. Because you are stepping out of scarcity and into sovereignty. This transformation is not random. It is the reward for every silent battle you fought. For every moment you chose integrity over shortcuts. For every night you whispered hope into the darkness.
For every step you took when your strength felt gone. For every tear you wiped quietly while still promising yourself you would not give up. The universe saw all of it. And this is why your elevation is unfolding now. Chosen ones, the financial blessing arriving to you is not given to return you to comfort. It is given to launch you into purpose. It is the foundation upon which the next phase of your destiny will be built. A phase of expansion, a phase of creation, a phase of receiving without fear, a phase of rising without apology, a phase of wealth that flows effortlessly because your spirit finally believes it is deserved. The abundance coming to you is not meant to end your story. It is meant to begin your true one. You will look back on this moment and realize it was the turning point. The moment the universe declared that your years of struggle had served their purpose, that your suffering had reached its final chapter, and that you were ready to step into the identity of someone who does not merely survive, but thrives. Chosen ones, this is your beginning. A beginning marked by clarity, expansion, and a level of abundance that will reshape everything you once believed about what your life could become. And when it unfolds fully, you will understand. You were never waiting for the blessing. The blessing was waiting for you. Closing. The final call before your destiny unfolds. Chosen ones. As this message reaches its final breath, you must understand something with complete clarity. You are standing on the edge of a destiny that has been trying to reach you for years. Everything you have lived through, the struggle, the fear, the debt, the uncertainty, the sleepless nights, the exhaustion that weighed down your bones, was not the story. It was the preparation. It was the shaping. It was the refining of a soul that was destined not for a life of survival, but for a life of expansion, freedom, and abundance. This moment is not random. You did not arrive here by accident. Your spirit was pulled to this message because you are nearing the threshold where everything shifts. Your finances, your identity, your opportunities, your direction, your sense of stability, and your inner power. But before your new reality unfolds, the universe requires your awareness, your readiness, your willingness to step out of the version of yourself built by fear and into the version built by purpose. For so long you have lived in a world shaped by limitation. You learned to shrink yourself. You learned to brace for disappointment. You learned to expect difficulty. You learned to survive silently, even when your heart was exhausted. But chosen ones, hear this deeply. Your spirit is no longer aligned with that life. Your energy no longer belongs to scarcity. Your future no longer echoes the patterns of your past. You are entering a life where abundance meets you without force, where opportunities seek you without fear, where financial stability becomes a natural state rather than a distant dream, where blessings arrive not because you begged for them, but because you finally became the person who can sustain them. This closing message is not just a conclusion. It is a declaration, a confirmation, a spiritual signature marking the end of one era and the beginning of another. Your struggles were not meaningless. Your waiting was not wasted. Your delays were not denials. Every setback, every obstacle, every closed door carried you toward this moment, the moment the universe decided that your time of heaviness is over. You will soon witness a release so powerful that it will feel as if reality itself shifts around you. Debts dissolving, opportunities appearing, money flowing in unexpected ways, paths you could not see suddenly unfolding with precision. This is not a fantasy. This is alignment. This is what happens when the universe completes its preparation of a soul it has chosen. And you, chosen one, have been chosen for elevation. You will not return to the life you once knew. You will not repeat the cycles that once drained you. You will not carry the weight that once defined you. Your spirit is rising. Your destiny is activating. Your abundance is approaching with unstoppable momentum. And when the breakthrough arrives, and it will, you will look back at this message and realize it was not merely words. It was prophecy. It was confirmation. It was the whisper of your future reaching back to remind you that greatness
has always been waiting for the moment you stepped into your truth. So breathe deeply. Stand tall. Open your heart. You are ready. You are aligned. You are worthy. And the universe has already begun moving in your favor. Chosen ones. This is not the end of the message. This is the beginning of your new life.